So, what's fascinating in our current, just because I love the history of this topic. The current phase that we're in as a culture is sort of like the post Freudian era, which is really interesting because before Freud, you had a lot more sexual fluency. It looked in some ways sort of like right before our current political, oscillation of hyper demonization of different types of expressions of sexuality. That started in this round with Freud, who basically came in before Freud. You didn't have all of these hyper categorizations. You had what was called a homosocial society. So women spent time with women, men spent time with men. You had a lot of same-sex relationships. In general, you still had marriage was a really pivotal part of society, but for different reasons. You had men that live with men, women that live with women. It was a very commonplace thing. And then over time, you have the same sort of infiltration of religious ideology. And then you also had, this influence that came from these European scientists that were doing eugenics. And during the process of eugenics, they sort of stumbled onto this entirely other issue of, oh, we got all these people that are out here having happy sex, and this is another problem to this hierarchy. We need to go in here. And so over time they started categorizing all of these subcultures. And so they didn't have a name. We were all just sort of fluid. You didn't have gay, straight, you didn't have any of that. You just sort of had this fluidity.
Yeah, that didn't come about until as an actual social construct. That came much later.
Yeah.